So hi, welcome to Woman at the Wheel. I'm Sue, and I'm on Interstate 35. I'm cutting up into Fort Worth. I'll be getting over to 35W here in a minute. About another mile up the road here. For those of you who don't run I-35 in Texas, when you're coming up from Waco in Hillsboro, I just left Hillsboro. I stopped in there and got lunch and checked the truck. I'm having some issues with the truck, and I'll tell you all about that. But for those of you who aren't familiar with it, 35 splits right here, and 35W west goes over to Fort Worth, which is where I'm going. 35 east cuts off to the more to the east and goes up to Dallas. So I'm kind of coming in the back way. I figured to jam up again down here by I-30. And sure enough, whoa Nelly, guys. A little warning would be nice. God, I hate cities. I really, really freaking hate cities. Don't take that personal if you're a city dweller. I don't hate you. I just hate traffic in cities. So, you know, no offense intended. Oh my gosh, come on. I'm less than a mile from the pay road. They call it express toll. If I could just get up here. If I just get to it, I'll get on it. So I'm over this shit already. Way over it. Way over it. Still got a half mile to go. Half mile of stop and go takes a little while. Yeah. Should take you about 30 seconds. And yet here we are. Oh, come on. Oh my gosh. Seriously? I know, I have no patience for this kind of shit. Look at the line of traffic coming onto the interstate, and you wonder why it's jammed up. As big as these roads are, they're not big enough for the amount of people who use them. That's just bottom line. There are too many people on too few roads. Some interesting driving going on here too. I don't know if you saw that. That was interesting. It's kind of smooth looking. I'll give them points for being smooth. Thank God. Got it just in the nick of time. It's at a standstill over there already. And I'm basically 8 miles from the Decatur turnoff, so there'd be 8 miles of that stop and go stuff, which I'm just not in the mood for. Not really. Southbound's pretty jammed up too. don't know if it's also busy because it's a Friday or what the deal is. Might be. Or if this is just how it is these days. That could be too. Oh my gosh, people. One would think they'd never seen a trooper. You know, it's one thing to slow down to the speed limit when you see a trooper, but it's another thing to slow down completely and almost stop. We got somebody up here really dragging their feet though. Yes. 419 because they suck. So that place back there was probably the cheapest fuel around and I went right by it. Kind of sucks. I'm not turning around. Just not. I need to get something to drink and I don't even think they'll have anything to drink back there. Just have to suck up the higher fuel price. I'm not buying that much to start with, so it's annoying, but you know, just gonna have to suck it up. Thank you. You too. Okay, one of the things that Braum's has going for it, among other things, they've got great ice cream and stuff, but they make good limeades. Now, I don't know about their diet limeade here, remains to be seen, but their limeades are to die for if you're a limeade liking person. That's one of the few things I'll go buy as far as like a fountain drink when I'm on the road. Let's check it out. Oh, well, I can fix it. I think it's diet because there's no sweetener in it, which is actually good. So I put my stevia in it. Sweeten it myself. Yeah, there was just no sweetener in that. I like that. That's a good way to do it, actually. If there was any kind of sweetener in there, it wasn't sweet at all. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, I love this liquid stevia. I carry it with me. And I use it in everything. Coffee, tea, evidently limeade too now. Wish I could get through this damn light so I could get out of here and not just be sitting here dripping fuel. Oh God, that's good. Oh. Yes. So their regular limeades are like really sweet, but they're also really limey. But they use real limes in them. I mean, they actually make real limeades, and they are awesome. So if you're a limeade person and you're in the South and you've never been to Braum's, they're basically only in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas, and not too far from Oklahoma. I mean, not way down south in Texas, I don't think. But they've also got really good ice cream. They've got their own farms, their own dairies. So they have really good quality control, and their ice cream is pretty awesome. But I'm not looking for ice cream, you know, fattening up today. I'm trying to stay a little more keto and behave myself. This is Decatur, Texas, right here. And we're just popping out the north side of it. I haul quite a bit of things in and out of Decatur, and a lot through Decatur. I've traveled through here a lot. Okay, 110 miles to home. All over it. There's that buzzing on the dash is driving me nuts. It's got to be that camera mount. Now the mount itself I can keep, and I can attach it to a different bracket, a custom bracket that's not mounted to the dash. But this has got to go. That's driving me crazy. I think there are a couple of advantages of mounting it up high in here too, getting it up in the shade and keeping it shaded between the camera and the actual window glass. Might make for some considerably better video quality. I'm just guessing. This tanker behind me wants to go, so I'm going to let him go. Go on, guy. These tanker drivers must be on a really tight schedule because they are really pushy and they're always in a big ass hurry. They must just whip them guys, keep them moving. There's the world's largest Bowie knife. Right there, folks. It's a nice day for it, to see it. Nice and clear. It is kind of cool. I'm not even sure when they installed that thing. I know it wasn't here 10 years ago, but it's been here since I started back trucking again. So I would guess sometime in the last couple of years, maybe. I don't remember seeing. I used to come down this way once in a while picking up HVAC parts for Bill when I was retired. That nice looking house there, they just redid that. It looks like all brand new windows in it. Paint job, new roof. Looks nice. That's what we need. We need a new roof on our place. Our roof is terrible. We bought this place 5 years ago, and we moved in 5 years ago last week, I think, pretty close to that. And when we bought it, it had a terrible roof on it that was in such poor shape that the bank made the guy who owned the house replace it before they would okay us buying it. Well, he got a recommendation from the realtor on who to get to do the job, and they did a shitty job and used really substandard shingles on it. So they did just a crap job. And they didn't, like any of the openings that should have been sealed over before they shingled it, they didn't even bother putting like wood or flashing or whatever in or around these spots. So it's been leaking ever since they put it on there. I've had him back out like 4 or 5 times. I finally gave up. It's just some old guy. He's supposed to be some kind of a great contractor. I think what it is he's probably the realtor's uncle or something, and he does really shoddy work. Really, really bad. So I got to talking to another realtor, a friend of mine who's a realtor, and she said, oh yeah, she said she's had bad work done by him too. I guess pretty much everybody has. But this one realtor around, she keeps recommending him because he's related to her somehow. So we've got a really crappy roof that at some point we're going to have to replace. Or, you know, if we get a hailstorm or something, I guess that'll just about do it in, because the shingles they put on there are so lousy. It's like the cheapest, shittiest shingles they could put on it. And then the guy that did the job actually told Bill, he was like, well, you know, he says, I don't know why he wanted that kind of shingles. We asked for white shingles. You know, he says, well, I don't know why he wanted that kind of shingle, because I could have put good shingles on it for what he paid. And I'm thinking, well, you lousy bastard, you should have. Why didn't you? So he admitted that they were crappy shingles to start with, and that he could have done better, but he didn't. He didn't even tell the guy, you know. And it was something that we didn't have any control over, because the guy had to do it before we could take possession of the house. So we weren't really like involved in it. Just heard about it later and saw the result. So this house we bought, it was an old ranch style house that had been moved out onto the land it's on now in the 70s, but it was built in the 50s. And after they moved it out there, evidently that's all they ever did to it. They never repainted anything, they never fixed anything. So it was in pretty rough shape when we got it, but we got it cheap. So, you know, it was one of those deals. We knew we'd have to do a lot to fix it up. But it's got crappy vinyl siding on it. And I hate vinyl siding. I hate that shit, because it gets old and it gets brittle, and then somebody backs up to it or whatever, touches it the wrong way, it breaks. Well, so this place has got really a badly installed vinyl siding on it. So we come to find out the guy who did the shitty roof is the same guy who years before did the shitty siding for the people. So it's like, oh my God. So he's basically, you know, done shitty jobs. That's the only kind of jobs he's done out there. So at some point we're going to have to re-side the house, and we're going to have to re-roof it. And I've just been waiting until we got money to do it, you know. It's one of those things, it takes a lot of money to do that. And I'm not going to get up and re-roof it, and I'm not going to let Bill do it either, you know. So we'll have to get somebody out there who knows what they're doing and have it done. There was a time when Bill would have done it, but after his ordeal, I don't want him doing that kind of stuff. If I wanted him to, he would try, I'm sure, but I don't want him to do it. I don't want him to get hurt. So, okay. We're crossing the Red River. This is just a floodplain down here. It's not the river proper yet. It's just a river bottom. The actual river channel's up here under this next bridge. These are just levees built across the bottom. Okay, so this is the bridge. before the actual water. $173,014. That's what I wrote down. Okay, good. Gotta track that mileage. Welcome to Oklahoma. Okay, now I can slow down to Oklahoma speed. Casino's busy. I came through here about, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning, and there were people in there. Thinking, what? But yeah, I guess people just stay at the casino as long as they can. Evidently, and I didn't know this till I talked to one of the police officers up in Duncan a few years ago. We had some drug dealers move in next door to us, and so I was consulting with them. We finally got rid of them. The way we did it was by buying them out. We bought the place, and they moved out of there. But what this guy was telling me, the police officer, he was telling me that the drug addicts all gravitate toward the casino. It's something about the machines and the lights and the bells and all that. And I had never really thought about that before, not when I was a cop especially, because we didn't have casinos where I was at. And the nearest casino to my city that I worked in, which was Craig, was clear across the state over at Blackhawk. And so we didn't really have that in our area. But I guess it kind of makes sense, you know. It would go along with a lot of the stuff that some of the people doing meth do. Like they'll get a hold of stuff and just tear it apart, take it completely apart. We used to a lot of like the search warrants and stuff in drug houses. We'd go in and there'd be like a whole stereo, radio, whatever, record player, whatever electronic component, and it would just be in pieces on the table, like each individual piece taken apart. Like they just took stuff apart and then they couldn't put it back together. So here it was sitting there all taken apart, you know, like it was an ongoing project. This was something that we saw a lot of. So it's not just kind of a unique thing, evidently, but it's pretty common. And I don't know if it's like one of the effects of meth or what. It could very well be, because meth just basically cooks your brains. So God only knows what it actually does to you. But all the stuff that's in it is bad stuff. Okay, now I can kind of assess the situation. I'm going to have to do this a step at a time. One step at a time. Got an old farm truck up here slowing everybody down. Not an unusual thing in this part of the country. And I mean really slow. This is going to be cutting it closer than I like, but I got room, so. Alrighty, there we go. You're okay, fella. I wasn't crowding you a bit. I was a long way away from him. I know the feeling. I don't like it when somebody's coming at me in my lane either. Since we quit having pictures developed or printed out, pretty much, because digital's just so easy and cheap. Nobody has like actual printed photographs anymore that are going to last a long time. If you print them on your own printer, they fade, they don't last, and it's not the same thing as having an image from a negative. So there's a lot of stuff that I've got pictures of, but I never see them because they're buried in a file on a backup hard drive in my desk drawer. It's like, okay, it's a great place for them, Just better slow my ass down here. I'm complaining about everybody else's speed. This is Ryan, Oklahoma. The little place we came through when we first came into the state was Terrell, a town called Terrell. This is Ryan. Kind of a cute little town. Wide load guy, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna go over and give him some room. So this is like the end of January. Look at this green grass out there. That's winter wheat, is what that is. Oh great, I got another one who's going to be up on my ass. We won't be there for long because we'll get into 4-lane up here for about a mile and then it'll choke back down, so maybe he'll get on around me if he's going to be pushing me. I'm not appreciative of people trying to push me. They usually get an opposite reaction out of me. If I'm feeling obstinate particularly, if somebody gets up on my ass like that, I'll just start slowing down. I'll slow down, down until they decide they're going to go on around me. Because I do not let people push me. It's just not happening. It's just not my thing. I mean, if I'm gonna speed or break the law, I'll do it because I feel like I need to or whatever. But I'm not going to do it just so the guy behind me can be happy driving 80, because fast ain't fast enough for these people. You can drive 90 on this road and somebody will come along and pass you. It's the nature of the beast. He's got a beat to shit Colorado tag on that thing. Looks like a bearing out of his back wheel there. Bearing out of a sink or something. It's wobbling around funny. I just checked his tag to see if it was in date or not. Some habits die hard, I'll tell you. I see a Colorado license plate, I gotta look it over. Like I'm still running traffic up there, But yes, his plate is current. Even though it looks like hell. His stickers are current. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, they got road treatment on here. Look how thick that is. They put down a good dose of it. God, I hate to think what the weather's doing now. I'm afraid to look. Didn't sound that drastic yesterday when I looked at it. If you like seeing antiques and you're ever coming through this area, it's Highway 81, a little town called Addington. It's in between Waurika and Duncan. Actually, between Waurika and Comanche. And it's just one of the neatest little antique stores I've ever been in. It's really cool. I got a whole bunch of them piling up behind me. This is crazy. I'm driving the speed limit, but people come out of Texas and they've been driving 75 and then they can't seem to slow down. Can't seem to adjust to Oklahoma speed, I guess. It's kind of funny. Man, they put down treatment heavy. Okay, so over here on the left, Addington, Oklahoma. Okay, just right up in here, you'll see him. He's got like windmills and whirligigs and all kinds of stuff back in there. Angels, buffaloes, wagons, horses. Just really neat place. So if you ever come down here through Addington and you like seeing that kind of stuff, you need to stop in there and take a look. It's well worth it. I'm sure you could find some cool thing in there that you just can't live without. I bought a couple of 1970s iced tea pitchers off of him. I ended up breaking them both just by using them, but I really liked them because they were similar to ones my mom had when we lived down here when I was a kid. And she would make iced tea in these pitchers, and Kool-Aid and iced tea. Kool-Aid for us kids and iced tea for the adults. And so she'd make it in these glass pitchers like that. Well, they put this stuff down before we got our last snow. So it turns out they really didn't have to because it never got cold enough for the roads to freeze. In fact, it snowed from 6 in the morning till around midnight or 1 o'clock that night. Great big wet flakes, but the road was warm enough it just melted them. It never stuck anywhere but on the grassy areas, and then 2 days later it was completely melted off. And it actually snowed a lot. I mean, it dropped a lot of snow. It just wasn't cold enough to, keep it from melting. So I was hoping that we would have an early spring. We haven't had one for a few years, but before we got into this, cold spring thing, we had a lot of early springs that, by the middle of February, it was full-blown spring. You could put your garden in. The last 3 or 4 years, it's been cold, real cold, like in February, into January, beginning of February. And it hasn't been really warming up till like the end of March. It's kind of unusual. My sister-in-law used to say, you could always plant your gardens here by the Ides of March, but not the last few years you can't. It's too damn cold. This is Comanche, Oklahoma. Sorry about that. Getting tired. A long day. Sometimes I just like messing with people. These are all the people that just passed me that I'm just messing with them, making them speed up and get back in front of me. Hurry, hurry. Hurry. Better get back up there. Oh, shoot. That's funny. I don't care who you are. I'm going to cut up through this old route anyway instead of going up the highway. I've had enough of these pushy people for today. So we're going to take the scenic route up through Meridian and into the south side of Duncan. It's a little slower going this way, but I'm not in any big hurry. It's a little more scenic than the regular highway. I know a lady that lives out in this area somewhere. I haven't seen her for a long time now. She used to work at a factory that did oil field stuff, and she was in charge of shipping. She's really nice. I liked working with her. Really nice lady. And she lives out in here somewhere. Not exactly sure where. Last time I saw her was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago at Walmart. But I think that was right after the factory shut down. I think she retired, probably. She was about ready to before they closed down anyway. But I liked her. She was one of those people who had a place for everything and everything in its place, you know. And she had her system, so I knew exactly what to expect when I would go to pick up stuff from her. I didn't have to do any guesswork. She's very organized. And she was friendly. So there's that too. But I'm not the make friends and go hang out at their house type of person anymore. I used to be when I was young. I had a couple of friends I'd go hang out at their houses and go do stuff with them and stuff like that. But one of them I'm still friends with. The other one really pulled a dirty trick on me. Ended the friendship completely. And pretty much cured me of wanting to have any kind of a friendship with another female. Because women can be brutal. You know, looking back on it, I understand a lot of it was our age at the time. We were in our 20s. And, you know, women who are in their 20s are still pretty dumb, most of them. I was. Takes you a while to, you know, cultivate some brains sometimes. I'm not talking about book smarts, I'm talking about common sense and, you know, figuring shit out. But, so now I'm down to one friend who I'll actually go by her house and visit with her. That's all I need, I guess, because we've been friends for a long time. I don't get to see her very often because she's still in Colorado. But I stop by and see her when I can, you know. I did have another friend that was a lady who was here. She actually came and worked for me for a while. And I liked her pretty good. And then, I don't know, after she moved, it's like her attitude changed. She moved back east somewhere, and then she didn't have any more use for me, I guess. So, I guess we're not friends anymore. I guess. I haven't heard from her in years. But that's okay. You know, people got their own stuff. So, I mean, I've got family. That's who I spend my time with, which I think is okay too. There's an old movie theater there, old drive-in. Huh. I need to find out who owns that, see if I can go metal detect it. It's probably been metal detected to death like everything else around here, but, you know, might be fun. Never know. I've actually got a book from the county showing the ownership on all the rural properties around here, so I can look it up and then see who owns it through the you know, confirm who owns it through the tax assessor's office, and then give them a call. I've done this on a few places. Some people say, yeah, that's fine, go knock yourself out, and other people are like, no, you can't go on my property, don't call me again. I'm like, okay. And then other people are like, well, you can, but you'll have to call me back, because, you know, I got this excuse. I had a doctor that had the ground that the movie theater up in Marlow had been on, the old drive-in theater. And there was nothing going on in there for years. It was like sat idle for 10 years. And I'd call him. The first time I called him, I told him who I was, what I wanted to do, and would he let me go in there and metal detect? And he was like, no, we've got, this ground's tied up in some kind of litigation, so we don't want the liability of somebody being in there. I'm like, okay. And he says, but call me back in a year and we'll see if that changes. I'm like, okay. So I called him back in a year, and it was like, by then he was like, no, I think we'll just, you know, we're just not going to do that. So I'm like, okay. But then he sold it, and now there's a house on it, so, or a shop anyway, or a business in there or something. So now it's too late, you know. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the best places I've metal detected, well, I cover a lot of different topics, don't I? God. I guess I'll go ahead with this one. The best places I metal detected around here were out at one of the city lakes, and I found a lot of old silver coins out there. I mean, not like hundreds of them, but I found, oh, 8 or 10. And that's a lot of silver these days to dig up out of the ground, because all the easy spots have already been picked over years ago. You know, as soon as metal detectors came on the scene, all these guys went around to all the schools and all the obvious spots, parks, all of that. But amazingly, I've pulled quite a bit of silver out of the city park, which has been metal detected to death for 30, 40 years, maybe 50 years. I've pulled quite a bit out of there. And then out at the city lake, I also found a nice big chunky solid 14 karat gold ring, a nice big heavy one. So, you know, those are the places I've had the most success. But I always wanted to go and do one of the drive-in movie theater lots, just to see if there's only like old silver dimes or something dropped in there by kids going up to the concession stand or whatever, you know. Just never have done it. Never have been able to get permission on one of them. So, yeah, that's one of those things. I'd like to, but they're not going to let me, so, well, it's how it is. Okay, so this was the back way into Duncan from Comanche. I'm going to pop out up here on Highway 81. Slippery Kleenex box keeps falling on the floor under my feet. Need to clean out and readjust this cab. I had it pretty good. All these new squeaks. I think that's that camera mount that's giving me all these new squeaks. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know what that is. It's a brand new one. Guess it's quitting now. I got stuff behind my seat or something that's rubbing, and I'm not sure what's going on back there. Little elves partying while I'm sleeping, I guess. Boy, this limeade's lasted me. I got a giant one. It's huge. It's like, I don't know how many ounces it is, but it's big. It's lasted me the whole trip. I'm not really big on ice drinks. I don't like ice that much because it hurts my teeth. Something that cold just kind of, it's kind of good today. Now, it may be a year or two before I have another one. My actual favorite thing to get at Braum's is a milkshake and order their French fries. And then I dip the French fries in the milkshake. I know it's weird, but I salt them real good first and then dip them. But that's not exactly ketogenic, so probably won't be doing that for a while either. Okay, these people that drive 20 miles an hour in town, I just have to get away from them. Speed limit in here is 40, so, you know. Seems to me like a person should be able to maintain that speed limit if they're going to drive on the city streets and not just poke along at 20, hold everybody up. I sure have a lot of opinions about driving, don't I? About other people's driving. Endless opinions about it, to be exact. One might even say hypercritical. I don't know. I think so, though. I think I have to own that. I have to own it. Well, for one thing, I was a cop, you know, so I did a lot of traffic enforcement. The little town I worked in, we didn't have separate cops for separate duties except for, like, the detectives were separate from the street cops. And I wanted to be a detective real bad. I got all the training for it, but I never got the job because people kept giving me sob stories about how they needed that job more than I did. And I sat back and let a couple of them go ahead of me, and then I ended up getting hurt and losing my job anyway. So, you know, if I had just taken the job in the first place, I'd still be there. I'd probably still be a detective. Little things you don't know that you're doing at the time to sabotage yourself. You know, you think you're being nice to somebody else, and all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. But anyway, we didn't have, like, different divisions. We were a small department. We had 25 or 26 sworn officers, something like that. And so we all run traffic, you know. Depend on whether you're working day shift, swing shift, or graveyards. And I opted to work graveyards most of the time. I had to work a few day shifts and I hated them. I hated day shift with a passion. I was a graveyard cop. That was my forte. But I ran traffic control. You know, I'd sit there and run my radar. I was pretty good at catching drunk drivers. I was pretty dang good at it, actually. I got a lot of drunk drivers. It's not that hard to catch a drunk driver. they're exactly as obvious as you would think they are, you know. But did a lot of that, wrote a lot of speeding tickets. I didn't really write like a lot of red light tickets or stuff like that, because I usually wasn't sitting and just watching the light to see if people were going through it. When I would run traffic, it was for one of two reasons. The chief told me to go run traffic, like they had a complaint in the neighborhood about speeding, so go run radar up there for a couple hours. Or go run radar in a school zone on day shift. Like, okay. When I would run traffic on my own was usually early in the mornings when I was getting ready to go home and people were getting out and in a hurry to get to work. You know, if I saw somebody who was like seriously speeding, I'm not talking like, I wouldn't stop somebody for 5 or 6 or 7 miles an hour over. If they're going 10 or 15 over, though, I'd stop them. And usually what I did, if they didn't have a shitty attitude, I'd give them a warning first, the first time I stopped them. And then if I had to stop them again, then I'd write them a ticket. So, you know, I didn't try to just be a hard ass about it. I was, you know, give them a chance, a warning, you know, don't do this unless you want a ticket, because next time you'll get a ticket. Oh my God, these people. I understand you slow down when you get old. I really do. You know? But for God's sakes, oh, this is so aggravating. This is just about infuriating. Just about. If you can't tell, I've had enough of traffic for one day. Dallas pretty much did me in. I got more than my quota. Let's just say. I'm coming over, lady. This slow old guy, there he is. I'm just getting around him. I hate getting stuck behind somebody doing 20 freaking miles an hour in a 40 zone. It just drives me nuts. It's like, but why? Good gosh. I hit every light in town today. Everyone. Well, I guess I didn't hit some of them down south. I think I got through a couple of them. This is a turnoff to Walmart, and this is always a freaking madhouse. You know, as much as we have to go to Walmart because some of the stuff we've got to have is there and we can't afford it from other places, like cat food and cat litter and, you know, stuff like that. I hate going to that store. I would just about rather be beaten than go to Walmart and shop. It's just so miserable. Because it's so crowded. I mean, this Walmart is the most crowded Walmart I've ever seen in my life. The parking lot is constantly full. I mean, it's just jammed. And the store is constantly busy and jammed with people. It's like we could use another Walmart here. Somewhere up north, like maybe Marlow. It would take some of the heat off of this one, but this one draws people from, you know, 50 miles in every direction, really. Well, except for west. About 20 miles west. And draws people up from Texas, because there's nothing down in Texas till you get to Bowie. So, then there's a lot of communities out east. There's a lot of population in this area. It's a really heavily populated county, actually. For all the rural property around here and stuff, we've got a lot of people. A lot. And they all want to go to Walmart at the same time. evidently. This must be my day to bitch about everything. I'm going to call this the Bitchin video. Sue bitches about everything. Everything. Or if that was my nephew. No, I think he's on graveyards. I got a nephew who's a cop here. Good guy. Very, very proud of him. In fact, both my nephews I'm severely proud of. One's a blood nephew, the other's a marriage nephew, so they're both awesome young men. Not quite sure what that window says. Dirty South Whips. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What's a Dirty South Whip? Somebody tell me. I'm completely drawing a blank. I have no clue what that means. Dirty South Whips. Well, it's got to mean something. I just don't know what it means. I mean, if it didn't mean anything, they wouldn't have it stuck in their rear window, would they? Probably. Change out of my heavy duty sunglasses into my light duty sunglasses, I guess. 'Cause I'm traveling out of the sun for a change. It's nice. Well, this has been kind of an eventful week. I mean, not so much as work is concerned, just 2 jobs, but I did get around quite a bit. I mean, from here to Oklahoma City and out to Sayre and back, and then from here to Lawton and then up to Chickasha and then down to Willis, Texas and back. And I took the scenic route coming back, so that was kind of neat. It was a nice change from I-45. I was really glad I got off of I-45 when I did, or I would have been standing on the side of that trying to figure out what the problem with the truck was. It's better to be in a bar ditch on a little road, actually. Less stressful. So I learned a few new things about the truck. That's always good. I'm just going to consider that a win. Just the fact that I was able to get it started again and get it home, I'm going to call that a big win. Big win. Because it was sitting dead in the bar ditch and I had no clue. So pretty happy about that. this all week without one single fluffy coffee and without anything with sugar in it and without any potato chips or ice cream. So I'm pretty happy with that. I stuck to my diet. Not like I'm having a hard time sticking to it because I'm eating good food. I mean, I'm eating steak and salads and, you know, stuff like that. Good food. So, not starving, but I'm not eating any junk. That's a big deal. Big, big deal. So I guess the next thing I'm going to do is tile the kitchen. I'm going to finally quit looking at the tile and do it. I've been sitting around looking at it for a month now. And I'm going to start walking at least 10 minutes a day. Even if I have to just walk around in the house for 10 minutes if it's cold out or whatever. Doesn't matter, it's still walking. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do this week. Because I don't think I'm going to be working, so we'll see. As you can see, they've treated these roads here too, so they're expecting it here as well. So I guess it was a pretty good week for this time of year being our slow time. I think I'm doing all right. I've had 2 good weeks now. I consider anything over $1,000 for the week gross to be a good week during the slow time. Now, if this, you know, is in the spring or the summer, then I would expect, you know, 3 or 4 or 5,000 a week to have a good week. But for this time of year and the amount of work that's available, this is pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, still running, and I'm not running very far, so I'm getting a chance to work all the bugs out of this truck, which is really a good thing. So, pretty happy about all that. So I'm going to head on home, just about there. I'm only about 4 miles out, so I will get this posted up, edited and posted up, along with maybe some other footage from the day. I don't know. I've been taking video the whole day, so I may throw something else in here or not, but I'll try and get this posted up soon and then get back on the road. Well, when I get the chance to get back on the road, I'll do some more. I think I'm going to have Bill do that special mount in here for me. Try and get this thing up off the dashboard again. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I know I talk a lot. I know. But I hope you enjoyed riding along. I mean, I enjoy having y'all here because it, you know, gives me something to think about besides just, you know, driving along. Keeps me awake, keeps me alert, which I like. So I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for riding along and have a great weekend.